Muntu aye, Muntu aye, Muntu aye, Bantu bae, Muntu aye, Muntu aye, Muntu aye, Bantu bae. Now I know you probably don't know what those words are, but Muntu aye comes from Africa. I'm taking you to a continent today of dance and music and drumming and heart and spirit and family and community. There's food, Africa. And there is where we're going to meet Miss Renee Knight. And how are you doing?
Greetings, Rodney, greetings. So good to see you again.
I'm so glad to have you and be in your presence. Now let me start off.
Okay.
We are friends.
Yes, we are.
We were co-workers.
We were co-workers, good friends.
Good friends.
Good friends.
So this interview is like, welcome to the Bantaba. The Bantaba is the dance space. Now, Renee is not originally from Richmond, Virginia, so tell us a little bit about it.
I'm from New York, Queens, and my first exposure, I went to Catholic school all my life. So, you know, it's kind of like straight lace and no rhythm and no flavor,
okay.
All right? So then when I went to my first high school, I went to Christ the King High School, and I met these three girls, they were sisters, and they were doing the African boot dance. And I was like, whoa, what is that with the...
So
I was like, wait a minute. We were in a modern dance class together. And I said, no, where'd you learn that? And they said, oh, well, we're part of a group called Liberation Ensemble in New York, in Queens. Mm-hmm. And we do traditional West African dancing. And I said I wanted to do it also. And my mother said, well, I need to meet the people. But this shows you how small the world is, because my parents are from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. They're Caribbean people. And then when I went to go see this Liberation Ensemble, one of the girls, their mother was from the islands and knew my mother and father, so it was okay.
Oh, it was there. You could do anything.
I was in. I could join. And I fell in love with African dance then. Then I left there and I went to Virginia Commonwealth University.
Okay.
And that was right after the civil rights movement had begun. And VCU then is nothing like VCU now.
It was white.
It was basically white.
Yes.
1% black, maybe 1% Latina, you know. So I was in the gym one day, leaving one of my classes, and then I heard this beat.
Call another drum.
And I said, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
I hear a drum beat. So I said, let me follow the sound. And I followed the sound.
To the drum.
And there was this lady sitting in the wrestling room at VCU's Franklin Street gym, and she was just playing this conga. Just playing it. And I said, hey. I introduced myself, she introduced herself. She said, I'm starting an African dance company. I said, and I'll be your first student. And that's how I joined Ezibu Muntu African Dance Company.
Who was the lady?
Her name was Tanya Dennis.
Okay.
And she was from California, where things in California, they're very laid back, not uptight like they were in Virginia. Okay. And she was like, wait a minute, we need to do something to help the black people find some sense of who they are and where they're going and where they came from, which is why she started the dance company. The second person in the dance company was Faye Walker. I love Faye Walker. I love Faye Walker. I will miss her forever and ever. Faye Walker and Babadunjo Olagenke, they are the reasons, between the three of us, is the reasons why Ezibu thrived for 50 years here in the city of Richmond.
Say it again. How many years?
50 years that we have survived, and I said survived, here in the city of Richmond.
when people ask me about African dance and they ask me to come teach you African dance, I tell them, well, I don't really teach African dance. What I do is Americanized style. I just use African movements. I say, but if you really want to see it and see it in its true form, you need to go see Ezibu, Muntu do it.
Yes.
Because they do it in its. How do you all learn the original? I know you're not going to Africa to learn the steps. How do you learn the songs? How do you learn the dialect?
Well, actually, some members do go to Africa and learn the steps.
Are you kidding me?
And learn the songs. Maya, Baba Dunjo, they've been to Senegal and they fell in love with the Senegalese style of dance, okay? And they bring it back. Then we also go to Washington, D.C. and take classes from Hassan. And we take those Sabah classes and so that we can sharpen what we do.
Now, here's the thread. Now, I know Hassan because when I won a grant back in the 80s, I won a grant to the Kennedy Center.
Right.
I studied with Hassan every day. He was my mentor. I was his apprentice. He was my sorcerer.
Right.
And
right.
Hassan changed my whole life because, I was like,
serious.
I didn't know how black I was.
Right.
Okay. And when my son got through with me, I came back. I changed all my clothes to African clothes. Because he showed me.
But a lot of the Africans like to wear American clothes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to go the other way.
I know.
I went the other way
it's
totally.
So strange because when I visited, I've had several trips to Africa.
Okay.
I've been to Senegal. I've been to Kenya 4 times. I've been to Ghana. I've been to South Africa, Tanzania, Zimbabwe.
What does it feel like to step?
The first time my brother offered to take me to Europe, France and Spain. And I said, oh no, I gotta go to Africa first before I go any European country. And when I got there, I felt like I felt when I went to the Bahamas for the first time. Okay. You get off the plane and then you're waiting for your taxi, right? And there's a lot of white people and all nationalities. But then this brother stood up. He said, oh, you two way back there, come right on up here, come right on up here. And I was like, oh, you're making us cut the line. He said, yes, in America you're last, but over here you're first.
Whoa.
And I want you to know that. And I said, okay, my brother was serious.
Wow.
He said, in America you're last,
but over here
you're first.
You're first. Wow.
And the feeling that you get when you go to the continent, it's just so different. I get goosebumps on my arm when I think about it because it is so true and it's so dear to the heart. And then when you hear drumming,
you just ready to go.
Immediately your ears perk up, and next thing you know, your hips are moving, and your head is moving. You're doing something, okay? You're doing something. You got to do something, and it's just something about it. It's so funny though because when Baba Olatunji came to New York for the first time back in the 60s, and my father was with a group, and there was a lady in the group who did African dancing. And she invited my father to something, and Baba Olatunji was there. They were doing a wedding, and it was the tasting of the bitter and the sweet, and the spicy and the mild, and it was something else. And then when I saw that African dancing at that wedding, I was sold. Hook, line, and sinker. Sold. I didn't want to do any other kind of dancing other than African dancing.
How did you get into teaching with Richard Public Schools? How did that happen?
Wow. Being that I was with Ezibu, and I offered to do a workshop for the elementary program of arts and humanities. So that's where all the art teachers, all the music teachers, all the physical education teachers, the theater teachers, we all would have our meetings, okay? And then they would send us out into the schools. The teachers would have staff development, and we would take over the school teaching the arts. And I loved it.
I did too.
I loved it.
I did too.
I learned so much from my coworkers. I learned so much from you, from like Joan Richardson.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Wow.
I mean, from so many people who are no longer with us
no
right
longer
now.
with us.
But they were good. They shared everything that they knew, and they shared it, and you could embellish upon it.
That was the good thing about
wonderful.
it. It was because it was all these RC people coming together and on one accord. Like I love the shows we did. When we did good shows. We did great shows with the kids. Broadway kind of shows.
Broadway
shows with these kids. Yeah, I remember that.
Broadway productions.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
That was fun. Now look, Ezibu, what does that mean?
That means good family. Now, when we first got our name, Ezibu Muntu, somebody told us that it meant universal man.
Okay.
But after going and doing many trips and meeting a whole lot of different people, we found out that it really is good family.
Okay.
And which is what we try to do. We try to be a good family.
Well, yeah, I noticed that when I go to see y'all, you got the little kids learning, learning and doing it. And the thing about the African dance, like I was saying, unlike the other dances, when I was at Wearing Mary, you had to do weight. You had to do, they actually weighed you, and if you didn't make weight, you couldn't perform. Okay, so they were on that European when they never weighed me because I was only 99 pounds.
Right, I know that. I know that.
It was like no need to weigh him.
Right.
Okay,
right.
but the girls had to get weighed before they performed.
Wow.
Well, now, I didn't think of it back then as being wrong.
Yeah.
Because it was what they were doing.
You want your sisters to be voluptuous. You know, you have big hips, big thighs, big booty.
That's what I like about
arms.
African. I don't care how big you are.
Right,
You can do African dance.
You can
You can. Absolutely.
Actually, sometimes the bigger you are, the better you dance.
Absolutely.
Actually.
I know that. You know I know that. Okay, it's nothing like seeing a big dancer dancing well.
Yes,
okay, and giving it all they got.
Yes.
They take it.
And I'm not gonna lie, doing dance, as you know, for any dance company takes a lot of personal sacrifice.
That's right.
You sacrifice your body, you sacrifice your money, your finances.
Right. That's it.
You definitely sacrifice your time, because before you know it's like, oh, it's 1:30 in the morning. I'm up trying to create something, and I'm still dancing. Say, I need to get to bed because I need to try to calm down so I can go to sleep. Otherwise, my feet are doing this, a rhythm's going on in my head, and I'm trying, I got to put that in there first. Don't forget.
Talk about, Renee, about the other part of the company. People don't know that you have to do a business side, that you have to get funding, that you need a space to work.
Money makes the world go round, and that is the truth.
Okay.
You cannot do anything without any money. And so one of the things that I started taking on as a personal challenge for me later on in the dance company is trying to be the fundraiser, trying to get that money. I did take a class that a gentleman named John Bryant taught me how to raise money for nonprofit organizations. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people do grants, you got to keep your grants going up, but you can actually get more money for your company or whatever organization that you're trying to raise money for with personal donations. Okay. You know, you have to establish, everyone in your company needs to know, of course, your business, your mission statement, okay? You need to be able to say it like in 20 seconds.
Okay,
exactly. And then you need to share what you do with as many people as you can. You get in the elevator.
You talk about it.
You talk about it. No matter where you go, you talk about it.
Okay.
I was in a wedding. I went to a wedding in Greece this summer, and one of the gentlemen who I know from Connecticut was like, Sister Renee, I didn't know you were going to be here. I was like, I had to be here.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, it's raising that money. What I tried to do a couple of times, because I had been a witness to the SPCA Robin Stark's fundraising that they do at the Jefferson Hotel.
Okay.
Oh man, they could raise some money.
Wow.
And I said I wanted to be able to do something like that. Okay. So we did do about 4 galas. We were not able to raise as much money as I would have liked, but we did raise some money, and people did see the importance of it. And I'm hoping that they eventually will pick it back up. Of course, COVID kind of messed us up for a little bit. We had to stop doing classes, and then you couldn't do shows. And basically, we made our money by doing shows and doing the classes also. Of course, I could raise some money doing donations from people, but you really need to have your classes going on for your company to survive.
To survive. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So now, are y'all back to where you housed?
So right now, you know, we were at 418 East Main Street for 27 years, and we loved it there. We did outgrow it, though, because the company got too big for that building. Okay. And I remember sitting downstairs, and while they're upstairs dancing, I could see the paint falling off the walls.
Oh, wow.
Off the ceiling.
While they're dancing,
While they're dancing, I'm like, yeah, we need a new spot. And then we did get a place over on South Side, not far from Southside Plaza,
okay.
I guess you could say. And then COVID came. And so we couldn't really afford the rent there anymore, so we started rent somewhere else where we can rent just by the days, Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, we're on Own B Road, which is not far from Robin Stark's animal shelter.
Now, do you all take in new members every year? I mean, how does that work?
If we see somebody who's interested and they want to dance, we invite you. We beg you, please come to rehearsals so that you can learn the dances, and we want you to perform with us, okay?
Is Faye's daughter still dancing?
Faye's daughter is still dancing. You know, she's a mommy now also. She's got married. She got married in Senegal. Her husband is from Senegal, and she is dancing with us. And she's our new artistic director, actually.
Oh, wow.
Chuck Davis. I met Chuck Davis when I was in high school, at Christ the King High School. I went to a workshop at NYU.
Okay.
And he was doing the workshop, and he is just so massive.
Big.
And big. And I remember sitting.
You have to look up.
I remember I'm sitting on the floor, and I'm looking at him, and he was like a no-nonsense man. And he said, if anybody is chewing gum, you better swallow it now, otherwise I'm going to knock it down your throat. Swallowed, you know, swallow that gum. But he was such a good leader, and he was our mentor, along with Melvin Deal was our big mentor after Tanya. Tanya left after 2 years.
Okay.
And so we were like, oh no, we can't just stop this. And we met Chuck, and we met Melvin Deal, and they really were our mentors. Okay. They came here to Richmond and taught us different workshops that we did at VCU. We went to DC. We also went to Durham, North Carolina. And we always did Dance Africa.
Yeah.
In
DC. I met Chuck doing American Dance Festival.
Okay.
And every morning, I got chills. As soon as I mentioned his name and said that, something just ran through my body.
He was such a.
It ran through my body, just that,
such
like
a
that.
Force.
He was a force, because at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yes.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, he would sound those drums on the campus at the morning, and you would hear all the people start coming, white and black.
Right.
And before the sun would be fully up, we were all out on the lawn.
Everybody's dancing. I know.
And I mean, waking up the whole campus.
I know.
I tried that at Longwood.
Oh.
When I went to Longwood, I tried that.
And they said, excuse me, brother.
They called me in.
And said, no, we won't be having any.
The other professors said they would not have their classes. The people in the classrooms was doing, because of the drums, they were dancing. I said, well, that's just the power of the drum.
It's the heartbeat.
It doesn't
it is
matter
the heartbeat
if you
of your
hear
body.
it.
It's the heartbeat of the body.
If you hear it, you got to respond, okay? And Chuck would do that like 6 in the morning. And I would be out there, well, everybody out there, we would be killing it.
I'll never forget when we finally got invited to do Dance Africa New York. I mean, I was such a nervous wreck. Because to me, it was such an honor for our group to be invited. And then when you're at the rehearsals and all these companies, and they're in there, they're doing their thing, and you know, you're watching them, and they're like, oh my God, they're awesome. Oh my God, they're even better.
Renee,
oh my God,
I was
look at
up
them.
in New York when I went to my first one. I was up there in New York, and they're processional of all the different companies coming in, and everybody trying to outdo each other on the entrance and the professional and the drumming.
And the candlelight ceremony. all the people that have danced
the
and
people that
passed
have
on.
passed on. Oh my God. It would change your whole life, your whole being.
Yes.
Of what community and what it makes you do this.
Yes. And the thing about it is, you know, in some of the companies here in Richmond, it was a little bit like a competition, and it really should not have been a competition.
It should have been a family.
It should be more of a family, everybody opening their arms to the others. And I can say this for sure, that Ezibu has been the premier dance company here in Richmond and the state of Virginia. I do not believe that there was a company that did traditional West African dancing ahead of us. Mm-hmm. So that is something that we could be proud of, that we were like the root from the Balboa troupe, where people
branched off and branches.
Yes.
But the root
and
was,
a lot of people, you know, started a dance company after being with Ezibu. They said, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this a little different. I want to emphasize on this, or I might want to emphasize on that. But it all started from the same root, Ezibu.
Yeah. And that's cool.
Yeah.
That's what's good.
We've had many business managers throughout the years. Our first business manager was Dennis Harris. We've had Ola K2 be our business manager. Janine Bell was our business manager.
Okay.
Right after Dennis Harris left, then Janine Bell was our business manager. Okay. And she also branched off to start a Legba Folklore Society, which does very, very well. They have a high visibility here in the state of Virginia.
Okay.
Yes. And the Sister Ayo with her dance company that she started right now is I'm having a
here in Richmond?
Yes, she has her dance company with her children. Okay. And she started off and they're doing well. She's now doing a lot of other stuff because she went and really immersed herself in the Yoruba culture. So she took a lot of classes and whatnot, and did a lot of studying and whatnot. So she does a lot of that just solo now. Okay. Which is great, because she also worked with Richmond Public Schools. Okay. She was at Henderson Middle School.
Well, let me congratulate you. I know you just recently got married and all of that. And I know that your husband has been sort of ill here lately, but I do want to congratulate you on your marriage and all of that.
We'll be married 4 years, August the 1st, if he can get himself together.
So tell me this. Okay, we talked about what do you see for in the future for Ezibu? What's your goals? What do you have?
I would love to see Ezibu get it together and perform in Cuba. Okay. I would love to see them perform in Europe. Okay. Okay, because there's a lot of African companies that perform in Europe and whatnot, and I feel like Ezibu is just as good, and they should have their say and do that also. Okay. I can envision a huge festival here in Richmond where all the African dance companies, and some that are not doing African dance, they might be doing the Latino dance with Saba, not Saba, you know,
Capoeira.
Capoeira. Right. Okay. And I would like to see all of us getting together and doing a huge, huge show, but I would like it to be at the Landmark Theater.
At the Landmark Theater, okay.
Which is now called the
Altria?
The Altria, at the Altria Theater. Okay. I would love to see all of the companies there doing a big show, like a Big Dance Africa.
Okay. Did you hear that? We want all the black companies to come together so that we can do a huge celebration of
all of the arts. All of the arts. Because, you know, the people who do that Latin dancing, I cannot think of it right now for some reason, but anyway.
Zumba?
Not Zumba. Where they do, it's a form of dance. Okay. You know, and it's not calypso, but it's close to that. And of course, I'll remember it after the cameras go off. But anyway, well, I would love to see them dancing with us because, you know, I recently went to a funeral. You know, Kevin Davis lost his wife, Shaquilla, and they did the Latin ballet.
Exactly.
And so a lot of their people, you know, have done dances with Ezibu and whatnot. And I just like to see all the dancers get together.
We need more togetherness right now.
Yes, we do.
And dance and music and the arts has always been the one thing that has brought people together.
Right, your visual arts and your performing
It always
arts.
brings us together. And that's the one thing we have, you know, the babies dance as soon as they hear music. They just hear music and they start dancing. Okay, we, black babies, white babies, Jewish babies, Spanish babies, any kind of baby.
When I went to Croatia one time, my older brother's an international corporate banker. And so wherever he would go in the summertime, the family would go and visit him for a week or 2 weeks or whatever.
Okay.
So he was in Croatia. And when I went there, I could tell that a lot of people had not seen a lot of African Americans before, because when we were in church one time, people just kept looking at us like this, you know, leaning over and looking. And then I saw this, my niece had locks, right? And I saw this little feeble arm come across my face to touch her hair, to touch her locks. And I was like, okay. So that showed me. But then they had this big dance festival outside. I joined in and I danced with them because it was so easy to do, you know. We did that kind of stuff in EPOP.
Right.
And so I said, okay. Then it's so weird though, because it shows you how small the world is, because I go to the grocery store and there's a lady and she's talking. I said, where are you from? Because I kind of picked up her accent. So she said, I'm from Croatia. You don't. I said, I've been there. Dobar dan.
She was like.
So she said, oh, wow, you have been there. And I got a book of all the scenic places to go to in Croatia. It's really a very beautiful country, though. But it wasn't looking so great then because they had just come through that civil war with Bosnia and Croatia. But traveling around, meeting people, learning dance, learning songs, learning music, eating the cultural food, drinking what they drink, it's all part of life. It really is. And that's the only way we're going to survive.
That's it. That's it.
When people are more accepting of everyone.
Of everyone.
Yes.
Well, I certainly hope you have enjoyed Up to the Minute. I could talk to Renee forever.
We could talk for hours.
But we are so glad you came by the Bantaba. And to the staff of Up to the Minute, thank you for having me as your co-host. And I hope I'm doing what you want me to do. But we're going to leave out today with this song. It's called Ishe Oluwa, Koleba J.O. And it means God's work will never be destroyed. And it goes like this. Koleba J.O. Ishe Oluwa. Koleba J.O. Ishe Oluwa. Koleba J.O. Ishe Oluwa. Koleba, koleba, J.O. Koleba, J.O. Koleba, J.O. Koleba, J.O. Koleba, J.O. Ishe Oluwa. Koleba, koleba, J.O. Ishe Oluwa. Koleba, koleba, J.O. Stay right there. Koleba, J.O. Koleba, koleba, J.O. Koleba, koleba, J.O. You've been listening to music by Doc Christian. That's been music by Doc Christian. Welcome to the Bantaba. Thank you, and we'll see you the next time. And please be safe and enjoy yourself. And remember, we are one people. We are one community. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.